Hello, fellow gamers. Today, I am going to teach you how to be better with the knife in Pavlov VR. But this video isn't just for you Pavlovers. Most of these tips should help you improve with the knife in other VR shooters as well, such as Onward, Population 1, Contractors, etc. So first, some background info on the knife. So first I'll tell you why you might want to improve with the knife. In S&D, Search and Destroy, you spawn with a knife and can buy additional knives for only 100 in-game dollars, making it a very cheap weapon. And if used properly, the knife can be a one-hit kill, making those who mastered it very dangerous for very cheap. In Gun Game, you win by getting a knife kill, and in One the Chamber, if you miss your deagle shot, the only way to get more ammo is to get a kill with everyone's favorite melee weapon, the knife. Now there are two main ways you can utilize the knife in Pavlov VR. You can use it as a melee weapon, but you can also throw it to get a kill at range. So I'm going to discuss some tips for both. So first I'm going to talk about some melee tips. So the knife is very straightforward to use when you're using it as a melee weapon. Simply stab or slash your enemy. Reasonably simple, I know. But I'm sure you've probably noticed that you seem to trade quite often when fighting someone who has a knife as well. So, there are some ways to ensure you get a knife kill and they do not. So, number one, you need to ensure your first blow is lethal. In Pavlov, not all knife attacks will kill the enemy. If the game decides you didn't put enough force into your attack, your enemy will continue to live. So you need to ensure you swing or stab hard. Next, I'm going to teach you a much more advanced technique. I call it the sidestep. If you're both rushing at each other, knife in hand, this is a great way to ensure you win the fight, especially in modes like One in the Chamber. So when you are charging at each other with your knives, what you'll want to do is when you're about an imperial foot away from your target, you want to extend your arm to the side and take a step sideways, so that the hand you're holding your knife with is closest to your target. Your knife should go directly into them, while their knife should go where you were a moment before. I have used this technique many a time, and can be used to best even the strongest of Pavlov players. Now this technique can be applied to any VR game in which there are knives involved. Now for an added advantage, if you can get good at using your left hand to knife, then you will do even better, seeing as how most people you fight are right-handed, giving you a greater distance between you and their knife when you sidestep. If you see your enemy is holding a knife left-handed, switch to your right. Remember, when you successfully kill an enemy with a knife, it stays in their body. If you plan to take on two enemies, be sure to pack a second knife or be ready to rummage around in the dead body for your old one. Be advised, this knife technique works significantly worse when you and others have high ping. You can check the ping of all players here, next to your score. Now, before we get to the knife throwing tips, if you are either enjoying this video or finding it helpful, I'd like to take this moment to ask you to like, subscribe, and leave a positive comment down below. Doing these things are a great and easy way to support the channel. Now, you may think doing these things have little to no real effect on anything, but for a small channel like mine, every interaction with this video really gives my channel a boost with the algorithm, making it far more likely for my content to be recommended to other people. Alright, knife throwing. This form of knife fighting requires its own unique set of skills. Knife throwing can be an excellent way to kill a skilled knife fighter before he has a chance to reach you, or to finish a round of gun game in style. Now when you're throwing a knife, you have to remember that you only have one shot at it. So only throw your knife when you're sure you'll hit your target, or you think you will be killed by the time you get within stabbing distance. Stabbing is a much more reliable way to kill your opponents, and it's generally the method of murder you should be using. However, sometimes you will need to throw your knife. It's very important to realize that thrown knives move relatively slow, and can therefore be dodged. The people you want to throw knives at are those who are either completely stationary or at no more than 1.5 meters from you. I find that about 1.5 meters is the point at which you can no longer predict their movements. An exception to this rule would be enemies who don't know you are there, but in that case you should simply just try to stab them. To throw a knife effectively, you have to throw it much like a grenade, but with greater precision. I find it helps to align the knife with one eye and give it a flick of the wrist from there. This is effective for longer range stationary enemies, but for closer, zigzagging enemies, I suggest throwing the knife sideways, much like a frisbee. It's much less accurate this way, but when thrown in this orientation, the knife has a greater area of death causing, making it great for the more unpredictable of opponents. When it comes to knife throwing, practice is key, and for practice, I recommend the KENNITH'S test map. It's a great place to practice throwing knives. Now, some people may recommend knife ball, but the issue is that your opponents are usually about 4 meters away, and also zigzagging, making it fairly luck-based and hard on those who are looking to develop their skills. And much like stabbing with the knife, throwing the knife is also far harder with high ping, so be sure to keep that in mind. That's the video. Once again, please comment, like, and subscribe. It actually makes a huge difference, and I'm very grateful to those willing to take the time to do so. If you want to watch more of my content, I might recommend these videos on screen here. One of them is a top 10 video of the most cursed custom maps in all of Pavlov, and the other is a teardown of some legacy media's lies on the topic of VR.